Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. Or I hope we're all learning together. I know I'm still learning. It's not like you just, boom, you got it all and you don't ever have to worry about it again. Why is that? Because every day brings all kinds of situations that give you opportunities to figure out if you have already pushed that button and said, I'm going to trust God anyway. I'm just going to trust Him. I'm going to believe that He's going to take care of this situation or that situation. I'm going to have you have His peace. It's a matter of finding it and letting it reign in your heart when news comes that you didn't want to hear, or job changes, people, relationships, finance, anything. It could be in any arena. All right, before I get too far into all my stuff, right, I do want to tell you, see, this was in the works and now it's in my hand. How's about that? That's pretty cool right there, right? Yeah, I think so. Finally, I got it yesterday, and I just saw, I hadn't even got the email for it, but I did see on Amazon, I made a journal to go with it. It looks just like this, except it says it's a companion journal, and that way when you're going through the devotional, you can jot down notes and things. And so I'll order that one today, and so I should have it in the next couple of days, and then I'll show you both of them together. But it's finally came from the computer into my hand. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on buymeacoffee. You can get an ebook on buymeacoffee.com/Jeannie Ollinger. That money goes towards printing in Pakistan, which I have more announcements I'll just have to make later. And or you can get it on Amazon in print or on Kindle. It's been on Kindle for quite a while now, a few days now. So go grab a copy, and I hope you enjoy. So this morning, I was thinking about, we talked about two Josephs yesterday, and I thought about that quite a bit yesterday, about how God sent two different Josephs to Egypt, different ways. The first Joseph in the Old Testament, of course, both were in bad situations, or difficult situations, I should say. But Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, and just a heart-wrenching story of how he got to Egypt, right? And then Joseph and Mary, in the first part of the Gospels, was sent down there for protection. Very different views of Egypt. Well, this morning was actually thinking about the story part of this, and when I went back to read it this morning, I realized that Isaac was told not to go to Egypt. I was like, I didn't even remember that being in the story, right? But it says that Isaac was in some place. Let me see if I can find where it is, because my glasses don't work really good here. Gerar, Gerar. He was in Gerar, and he was going to go down to. He thought, I'm just going to go back to Egypt, and God said, don't go to Egypt. Stay here. I got you covered right here. So he didn't go to Egypt, which I thought was interesting, since we were talking about Egypt yesterday, right? Really not a big part of the story, but he stayed there, and there was a really bad famine in the land. It was a terrible famine. Things were going really bad. But listen to this. I'll get my other glasses because I really can't see. Okay, I can. So in Genesis 26:12, it says, that year Isaac's crops were tremendous. He harvested 100 times more grain than he planted because the Lord blessed him. He became a rich man, and his wealth only continued to grow. And here's the thing. There was a famine. It didn't look like a good time to plant. It didn't look like a good time to reap a harvest. It didn't look like, it could have looked hopeless. He could have felt overwhelmed. He could have said, I'm not going to plant because there's a famine. I'm not going to get anything anyway. But in the middle of a bad famine, it said earlier in the chapter, it said there was a really bad famine in the land. Yeah, but right there, even in the middle of a famine, it says he harvested 100 times more grain than he planted. And God made him rich. And then guess what happened? Everybody got jealous. Everybody got mad. They came and poured dirt in the wells and said, "Go live somewhere else. We don't like you." And so he had to move. And he moved 2 or 3 times. But the point is this: sometimes it doesn't make sense to trust God. Isaac trusted God in the middle of a famine. He did something that didn't make sense. Why would you plant more in a famine? Because you don't want to waste the resources. You don't want to waste the effort. You don't want to waste the time putting into it. Watering, trying to find water. And if there's a famine, a lot of times it's because there's not enough water. Or maybe there wasn't enough rain or whatever to sustain the ground. Maybe the dirt was poor. Maybe there was probably a thousand reasons. Yeah, that's a little bit of exaggeration probably, but there were plenty of reasons that he could have said, it's not a good time to plant. It's just, let's just wait till next year and we'll see. But he went against what the logic was. He went against what the natural mind would say, and he planted in the middle of a famine, and he reaped 100 times what he planted. That just encouraged me today, because sometimes when we're doing stuff, when we're in the middle of a world that is just kind of gone crazy, right? And people are scared, and they're just vindictive. They're just mad. They're mad about this policy, that policy. They're mad about that politician. They're not mad at that one, and they should be. They're not. It's a crazy world, and people get mad over dumb little things, and they cause violence, and then there's big things that they do get mad about too, and that's justified, right? And so, but there's a wide range of just craziness going on in our world. But right in the middle of that, we can plant peace. And guess what? We're going to reap 100 times more than what we plant, because when we plant peace, we're going to reap peace, and we're going to help point people to the God of peace. And then we're going to point them to the kingdom, which the kingdom of God is righteousness, peace, and joy. Right in the middle of a crazy kingdom called this world, we can experience the peace of the kingdom of God, because it doesn't fit the world's agenda. It doesn't fit what's going on around us. It doesn't fit what we see sometimes. But we can have that harvest of peace, that harvest of wisdom, that harvest of God's presence right in the middle of soul famine in the land, right? Because we trust God. Isaac trusted God, and he goes on to be very prosperous, and they get mad, and so he moves. And wasn't that kind of the same thing that happened to the children of Israel in the first part, in the next book in the Exodus, right? They grew, and everybody said he acquired. Soon the Pharisees became the Philistines became jealous of him, and they filled up Isaac's wealth with dirt. They were jealous, and so then it says that Abimelech asked Isaac to leave the country. Go somewhere else. You've become too rich and powerful for us. Isn't that a similar sentiment, a similar fear to what we saw in the Exodus? They became big, so they went into slavery. They began to oppress them, to try to control them, to try to contain them, because they were like, they're going to take over. Isn't this kind of a picture of the same type of fear? When we really trust God, it can scare other people, because they don't understand it. They don't understand how we can have peace in a world full of turmoil. They don't understand but why do we have it? Because we're walking with the Prince of Peace. Because we know he gave us that peace. We know we don't have to worry that. And even if there's the worst famine ever, God will provide. We can do things that we're always going to do things that don't make sense to the world, because we live in the kingdom of God. Colossians 3 tells us we're a citizen of heaven, right? We're just down here. We're actually immigrants. We're actually visitors here on this earth, right? Because we actually belong in the kingdom of heaven. So we are going to be an ambassador of the kingdom of heaven to people on the earth. And the message of the kingdom is there's peace with God. Isn't that? That's just, even though it doesn't fit the agenda, it doesn't fit our brains, it doesn't even make sense in my brain sometimes, right? But we are an ambassador for the King of Kings, the Prince of Peace. And we are saying there's still peace on this earth, and it starts right here. And we can plant peace even in the middle of a famine of peace in our world. And we can walk in peace, we can share peace, and we can point people to the Prince of Peace, and the peace that comes from knowing him and knowing this word. Peace out, you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow.